This 15-minute sequence is designed to provide release for your hips. They tend to get pretty tight, especially from prolonged periods of being in this position, which tightens up the hip flexor. So we're looking to open up, release this hip flexor area, and also release via external rotation and internal rotation. Begin by lying on your mat. So you'll place your feet together and the knees apart. The knees might be quite high up towards the ceiling right now. They might be lower. It doesn't matter. Either way, just lay your arms out and take 3 really deep breaths. Breathing in through your nose, filling up your rib cage. Sigh out through the mouth. Last one. And then hug your knees into your chest. Take a hold of your shins and rock from side to side. So just notice how your hip flexors feel. They might feel a bit tight, they might feel fine, you might not know what they feel like, all good. And then place one hand on each knee and circle your knees out and around. So your legs are really passive, it's just your hands that are moving the knees in circles, which in turn moves the leg around the hip socket, which oils the synovial fluid of the hip joint to help the mobility of the hips. So you're trying to find as smooth as circles as possible. Take it in the other direction. Notice what your jaw is up to. So often the hips and the jaw go hand in hand. So if your hips feel tight, you end up clenching your jaw. So make sure your jaw is relaxed. And then rocking up and down the spine or roll over to the side and press your way up to seated. Send your legs around the outside so we can come into a child's pose. So it's a wide child's pose, your knees as wide as the mat, feet together, and then stretch your arms out in front of you. If that doesn't feel good for you, you can make a pillow by stacking up your fists and laying your forehead down. You might feel uncomfortable in the fronts of the feet if they're not used to this position. We're not here for long. And then bring the hands to the ground. Tuck the toes under and walk your hands to the back of the mat. So your legs are as wide as the mat. Dangle over the legs. Take a hold of your elbows. Sway from side to side or just stay still. Make sure your jaw is still soft. Your head is fully released. And then turn your toes out and your heels in. Sit down into a squat. You might not come that low to begin with, but move around in the squat. So we're still just mobilizing, warming up the hips. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Everyone's will look slightly different. Walk your hands out now to a high plank. So your legs are long, your glutes are active, so your bum is engaged. Your hands are stacked directly below your shoulders. And then release your knees to the ground, untuck the toes, and let the hips come to the ground as well. Externally rotate the arms, lift the chest up, look up. And then press the floor away from you as you come to sit on your heels once again. So we'll do that twice more. Dome the back, dome the back, dome the back. And then let the hips come towards the ground. Keep the arms straight. Send your shoulders and your ears further away from each other. And then round the back, all the way back. Last time, dome the back as you come forward. Let the hips sink to the ground. So you're getting the opening up through the front of the hips. Lift the chest up. And then come all the way back. This time, tuck the toes under. We'll come into a downward facing dog. For this sequence though, it doesn't matter whether your legs are straight, doesn't matter what your downward facing dog shape looks like. We're just here for 2 more breaths. And then reach your right leg up and back behind you. Bend the right knee and point the knee to the ceiling. Imagine there's a weight on the right foot, so you're getting a bit more opening through the right hip. 2 more breaths here. And then bring your right knee all the way forward so you can place the foot to the top of the mat. If it doesn't reach, help it forward with the right hand. And then place the left knee down to the ground. If your left knee feels tender, double over the mat and lay it on top of a bit more cushioning. Hands lightly pressing on the right thigh. Lift your chest up and you should feel a stretch through the left hip flexor. Now lift your torso up a little bit. Slide your right foot in so you're a 90-degree stance between your legs. Tuck the back toes under and then tuck the tailbone under so you're lengthening the lumbar, so you're lengthening the lower back. Activate your left glute and then reach your arms up, take a hold of the left wrist, pull it up and slightly over to the right so you get a long stretch through the whole of this side, left side of your body. Bring your arms to a cactus as you lift the back knee off the ground and then interlace your hands behind your back as you straighten out through the back leg. So you're in a high lunge. Spiral your arms open. You might need to extend your stance a little bit. So we're in Warrior 2 now. And you want a really wide stance between your legs and we're looking for a 90-degree angle in this front thigh. It might not be there right now, doesn't matter, but that's where you're going. Your arms are in a T shape. Make sure you're not reaching too far forward, but imagine someone's pulling you back and pulling you forward at the same time, so you're right in the middle. Ideally, your hips are facing to the left side of the mat. Straighten your front leg, heel toe the back foot in slightly so you're a shorter stance, and then send the hips back as you reach as far forward as you can, and then bring your right hand down to the shin. Lift up through the top arm. You can continue to look up or bend the top arm, place the hand around your back to get a stretch for your shoulder, and let your right ear come to your right shoulder as well. You should feel an opening through the left hip once again. Come all the way up to standing, turn both of your toes out, bring your hands into your inner thighs, and you can be quite aggressive with the way you press your thighs back, as long as you're not pressing your knees back to get an opening through the groin. You can rock from side to side or stay still. If you want to take a twist here, keep your arms straight or as straight as possible, and then look back behind you and to the other side. Come back to the center, spiral your hands around to the front side, and we'll take it to the other side. So pick up the left leg, bend the left knee, point the knee to the ceiling, let the weight of the foot fall behind you. And then bring the left foot all the way forward. Release the right knee down to the ground, lightly place your hands onto the front thigh. Make sure your shoulders are away from your ears. Lift your torso up, pull the front foot in slightly if you need, 90-degree stance between the legs, tuck the tailbone under, activate your right glute, and then reach up, take a hold of the right wrist with the left hand, pull up and slightly over to the left. Bring your arms to a cactus, tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee an inch off the ground, and then extend the back leg as you interlace your hands behind your back. Pull the fist away from you, lift the chest up and try and make the back leg as long as you can, kicking the back heel away from you. Spiral your arms all the way up and over so you're back into that Warrior 2 position. Shoulders away from your ears, gaze is traditionally to the front middle finger. It doesn't matter too much as long as you try and keep your eyes still. The more your eyes flicker around the room, the more your mind will wander in and out of what you're doing. Straighten up your front leg, walk the back foot in slightly, and then send your hips back as you reach your arms forward. Bring your left hand down the left shin, lift up through the top arm, and imagine you're leaning onto a wall behind you. So rather than leaning forward, try and open up and either stay there or bend the top arm, place it behind your back. And release. Step the back foot up to the top of the mat and then round all the way up your spine. So we're going to take tree pose. So root down into your right foot, pick up the left leg, and then take a hold of the ankle. Place the foot into your inner thigh. If it won't reach this far, it doesn't matter, just make sure you're not pressing into your knee. It can be anywhere down the leg, or you can even have it resting on the floor for balance. Once you've got the foot pressing into the thigh, try and use your glutes, especially your left glute, to get that knee back away from you a little bit more. Hands to prayer or reach your arms up overhead. Try and fix your gaze on one single spot to help you balance. And then place your foot just over your standing leg and sit your hips back. You can have your hands together or reach your arms forward to help you counterbalance. So ideally you want your right knee stacked directly over your right ankle. You should feel a stretch in the left glute and the left hip opening. Come all the way up to standing for the other side. So spread the toes, lift up your right leg, take a hold of the foot so we've externally rotated, and then place the foot into your thigh or up your calf. Really press the foot into the thigh and resist the thigh into the foot as well. Stay there or reach the arms up or anywhere else that you like. And then place your foot just over your thigh, sit your hips back. You can bring your hands together or reach your arms out in front of you. Fix your gaze on one single spot to help you balance. And then release. We'll come down into a squat position, so your toes turn out, your heels in. Your heels might be off the ground, that's completely fine. If you can, place your elbows into your inner thighs to encourage them out. If your heels are off the ground, you might prefer to use your hands. You should feel an opening through the groin and a stretch in the hips. And now coming into Reclined Heroes, so knees wide and feet together, so knees as wide as the mat. Walk your hands back and then pick up and tuck your tailbone under. This might be enough of a stretch for you for your quads and your hip flexors. Some of you might want to come down onto your elbows or even down onto your back. Just make sure the knees don't pop off the ground, but you try and encourage the knees onto the ground. If you're all the way down, you might want to bring your arms above your head. Otherwise, just stay wherever feels enough for you to breathe. Come all the way up, keep your right leg as it is, just turn the toes in a bit, so you're 45-degree angle with the right knee. And then tuck the back toes under so you can send the back knee further away from you. Lift your chest up, lengthen. Either stay there or fold forward for pigeon on the right side. And onto the other side. So left knee comes to the back of the left wrist, turn the left shin into 45-degree angle, walk the right knee further away from you, and then pick up your chest. You can stay there or fold forward. If you are very tight in your glute, you might want to come over to the left side. Otherwise, if you can, stay centered. And then sit your weight onto your left side. So you can sweep the right leg around, feet together, knees apart. So we'll finish in a similar position to how we started. This time you're going to fold forward or stay upright. And again, your knees might be high, they might be lower towards the ground. Wherever you are, stay and breathe 5 deep breaths before you finish.